Bulls Nation off of a very good winning streak, multiple wins with not too many losses. We had a game against the Phoenix Suns, which would have been a great test for the Chicago Bulls to see where their level is at. And while we did compete in this game, and while we did keep it close, and while we did have a lot of leads in this game, the Chicago Bulls in the fourth quarter blew a 14-point lead to the Phoenix Suns. So without further ado, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls versus the Phoenix Suns in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got a Chicago Bulls versus Phoenix Suns game reaction. Again, one of the bigger tests that the Chicago Bulls have to face off of a very good winning streak against teams that are below us that we need to be beating. We versus the Phoenix Suns, a team that's, I think, 20-11 coming into this game. Have a very hot run of form. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, two All-Stars. Battling it out against the Chicago Bulls. And while we did have a lot of good positive things to talk about in this game, there are a few major negatives that we need to discuss as well. And a lot of these players will have to get criticized for today's game, because at the end of the day, some of the things that I saw was just simply not good enough if you want to be winning games like this. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this game, who was your player of the game, and overall what you thought about this game and how important this game means in the long run for the Chicago Bulls. The score for this game between the Phoenix Suns and the Chicago Bulls was 106-97. The Bulls had a 14-point lead at the end of the third quarter, came into that fourth quarter and had one of their worst offensive and defensive quarters in the NBA, which allowed Phoenix Suns to win this by 9 points. At the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls had a lot of good things to talk about in this game. We held the Phoenix Suns very quietly in the second and third quarter in terms of our defense. We had a 14-point lead at the end of the day. We had a 16-point lead as well at the end of the day. So these things are something that you have to take into consideration. Those are the positives out of this game. The negatives out of this game: turnovers, points for turnovers was poor once again. The second game in a row where we gave away a high amount of turnovers, and we also gifted them points from those turnovers. And not only that, the starters today, besides Coby White and Zach LaVine, should be doing that walk of shame into the locker room, because every single one of them knows they did not deliver as much as we would have expected from them. The starters in today's game, but again, besides Coby White and besides Zach LaVine, must step up. If we want to be a playoff team, if we want to be a team that's competing in the playoffs like we are right now, we are that team. We are a good team. You need to see productions out of your players. You need to see production out of Garrett Temple. He's a starter. He played a lot of minutes today. He played 32 minutes. And he didn't have that much impact on the game. Wendell Carter, 25 minutes, and he got bullied by DeAndre Ayton every single minute. The fact of the matter is, these are the things that we need to look at as a team, because our bench was phenomenal. Our bench was better than the Phoenix Suns bench, even though it's not by much. Two of the best benches in the NBA. The Bulls bench delivered today. The Bulls bench kept us in this game. First quarter, we were down by 11. The bench comes in. We end up taking that lead in the second quarter. That is very strong. Shout out to Luke Cornett and Denzel Valentine and Thaddeus Young and Satoransky, all these players that stepped into the game off of that bench and delivered for the Chicago Bulls. But the starters did not deliver what they needed to win this game. And at the end of the day, this is a tough loss to take, because we had the lead and we had things under control, and then we blew it within one quarter. It's a tough loss to take, but we have to take that loss, because at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to deliver in those final moments. It's the responsibility of the starters to step up when it matters the most. And most importantly, it's important to have these players play well, so it's not on Zach LaVine or Coby White to be the ones to take us out of this hole. It needs to be more than that. And this is one of those games where you miss Larry Marketing because of that. Because all the pressure was on Zach and Coby. That's all where all the pressure was, because no one else in that starting lineup played well. So all the pressure went to them. And in the fourth quarter, Coby White had one of his worst quarters because of that. Because all of the pressure's on him. All of the pressure's on Zach LaVine. He had 5 turnovers in today's game. Coby White had 3 turnovers in today's game because all of the pressure are on those 2 guys to deliver when no one else is doing that. So Wendell Carter has to play better. Patrick Williams has to play better. Garrett Temple has to play better. That starting lineup has to play better than what it is. And we would have won this game. It's as simple as that. There's no other things to say except that they have to play better than what they are. It's as simple as that. And it just sucks to see that we're that team that competes in all these games, but when it matters the most against good teams, we don't finish these games. We don't finish games against the tough teams. We do on some occasions, but most of the time, games like Philly, games like Phoenix, games like the Lakers and the Clippers, we're there, but we don't seem to put it over the line. At the end of the day, it is what it is. This is a loss that we've had very rare losses over the past few games. So this is the second loss out of around, 8 games that we've played? 6-2 or something like that? So, look, it's a loss, and of course the Bulls are going to lose games, and that's nothing to... It's okay to be frustrated, but at the end of the day, we are playing very well at the moment, despite these last 2 games. But we must do better. We must do better, and we must see more production out of some of these players. With that being said, let's go into the individual performers. I'm only going to mention the good players. So everybody that I don't mention in this game, that means you have to step up. It's as simple as that. I can't pick everybody and target every single player because some of these players just were absolute big disappointments today. So they need to step up. First things first, we could obviously talk about the 2 starters. Coby White, 19 points, 4 assists, and 5 rebounds. I thought Coby White played well today. Again, he struggled a little bit with his shot and his playmaking as well. 4 assists and 3 turnovers. That's not great from a point guard. 5 rebounds is always expected. You like Coby White crashing the glass. But overall, I feel sorry for Coby White because at the end of the day, there was no one else to help him out. When he's struggling or even when he's playing well, the pressure goes towards him. He's a young player, he's 20 years old. When the pressure goes towards him and he's the only player on the court that's going to score when Zach LaVine's out, what is he supposed to do? At the end of the day, if you don't have people stepping up for you, if you don't have your teammates, the players that are meant to be fighting with you, playing well, Coby White will end up struggling. And in that 4th quarter, he struggled a lot. And at the end of the day, that is his responsibility, but it's also the responsibility of his teammates to help him out when he is struggling. And the fact of the matter is, we didn't see that at all with any of our starters today. So Coby White, I thought he had a good game for what it was, but I know he could do more than that. And he knows he could do more than that. And more importantly, his teammates need to do more than that as well to help him. It's as simple as that. It's all you need to say with this team. It's as simple as that. We need to see help with some of our better players. We need to see help around them. Those role players, those bench players that did very, very well today, those starters didn't step up to that occasion with Coby White. Zach LaVine, 24 points, 4 assists, 1 rebound. Zach LaVine had 5 turnovers in today's game. A little bit of unforced turnovers. Also, a lot of those turnovers are responsibility of Wendell Carter not catching the ball. He needs to be ready, Wendell Carter, when the ball goes to him. He wasn't ready today. And that it's as simple as that at the end of the day. Zach LaVine had a decent game, 24 points. They played extremely good defense on Zach LaVine. At the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls is a better defensive team now over the course of a few months than we were at the beginning of the season. The Phoenix Suns are a top 10 defense, and they played like a top 10 defense today when they started to guard Zach LaVine. He didn't have the best of the best games. He still was very efficient in his shooting, but at the end of the day, he could not get into that paint. They did very well stopping Zach LaVine from going into the paint, and he still brought out big numbers in this game. So you have to give respect where it's due with Zach LaVine. Obviously, the 5 turnovers is poor. Again, the last 2 games, he's been struggling with turnovers. That's something that needs to be a quick fix. We need to turn around. We can't let turnovers be a habit for the Chicago Bulls. For a good month, maybe a little bit less than a month, we kept the turnovers very clean. We limited our turnovers by a lot, and we won a lot of those games. This is the situation now. We cannot let those turnovers creep into our game. Because if we allow those turnovers to be a key denominator in all of these games, then we will see the Bulls struggle in a lot of them. We cannot allow turnovers to be a common thing anymore. This is the second game we're talking about it. Hopefully this is the last. And that involves Zach LaVine, who did have a lot of turnovers in today's game. Let's move on into the bench. I'm not mentioning any more starters because none of them had great games. Thaddeus Young. Terrific game for Thaddeus Young. 13 points, 5 assists, 10 rebounds. It's as simple as that. Thaddeus Young was a big part of how this bench played. Him and Satoransky were absolutely sensational with each other once again. The chemistry is insane. At the end of the day, he's playing very aggressively. He got post hooks over bigger men and over smaller men. I just think he knows how to play his own game. Again, this guy's a veteran. He knows what to do in situations when the Chicago Bulls need a bucket, or when he knows how to score. He just knows. That's the type of veteran leadership that we need in this game, and Thaddeus Young brings it every single night for us. He's a big part of why we stayed in this game. He's a big part of why we had that 16-point lead, and he's a big part to the Chicago Bulls in general. So a very good game from Thaddeus Young. Satoransky, 12 points, 1 assist and 2 rebounds. Now again, outside of scoring for Satoransky, he struggled, but Satoransky is playing a very good scoring game so far for the Chicago Bulls in recent games. He's playing very aggressive. He's making most of his shots. I thought he played very well today. I know the stats don't show that necessarily, but I thought he played extremely well for what he was supposed to do. He brought a very good, decent amount of offense. And again, when other players struggle around him, it kind of shows. It's just simple as that. It kind of shows when teammates are struggling around him, he doesn't get the assist numbers. So hopefully we can see an improved playmaking game from Satoransky, but I love the scoring that he's doing. He's scoring at the right times, taking the right shots, and he's being very aggressive. Luke Cornett had an amazing game off of the bench, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Most of his damage was done in one quarter, to be honest. 2 corner threes, then he got his rebounds, he got some blocks in there as well. He played very well, Luke Cornett, so I'm very, very happy to see him play this way. And again, this should be a confidence booster to get 11 points in 12 minutes. He is that player that is inconsistent when it comes to scoring. We all know that. He missed 14 three-point shots before he made 2 in this game. So it's simple. In that retrospect, he did miss a lot of shots, but we know he can make them. So the fact of the matter is, if he's able to make these shots, he will play more. He's taken the position of Daniel Gafford, who's been struggling all season for the Bulls in that retrospect when it comes to scoring. And he's coming in and he's being a stretch big, stretching the floor, and he's trying to make the defense respect him. And more games like this, you will see the defense close out on him more often than not, which will allow cutters to cut into that paint, which is what we want to do. We're a paint-oriented team. We like to drive into the paint and make plays there. So Luke Cornett is going to be a big player if he can make those shots, and that's what I like to see. And that's pretty much all I want to talk about for the Chicago Bulls. The players that I didn't mention that did play in this game: Patrick Williams played in this game, Garrett Temple played in this game, Wendell played in this game, Archie Diacono played in this game, Denzel Valentine played in this game, and I think that is all that I need to discuss. So many players that I didn't mention because they didn't have terrific games. But the must improve is very easy. Very, very easy. Wendell Carter Jr. I'm sorry. To be the starting center on this team, to have the 6-game stretch where you're scoring 18 points, 17 points, 15 points, and having these double-digit rebounds as well. Against the Phoenix Suns, a fantastic team. Against DeAndre Ayton, who is, granted, a center that's still in the development stage. He's not the final product, DeAndre Ayton, but we all know he's a very good center. Wendell Carter needed to have a game to show his dominance in the paint, and he did not do that whatsoever. He didn't do that in the rebounding. He didn't do that in the points. He wasn't aggressive. He got the ball turned over a lot. Anytime the ball went to him, it's like he slipped out of his hands or he wasn't ready for the pass. It's just one of those games for Wendell Carter where that's not what you want to see from your starting center. He's played so well over the past 5 games, and then he comes in and has a game like that. I just hope that this is a game that is not repeated in our next game. Because if that is the consistent way for Wendell Carter, we need a big man. I know we need a big man in general, outside of just Wendell Carter, but we need Wendell Carter to play big, especially against teams that are playoff teams. We need big performances for Wendell Carter if we're going to win games like this against good teams. And hopefully, in our next game, we can see a much better performance from Wendell Carter. The player of the game, to be honest, there's not really much to go with in this retrospect. You could say Zach LaVine, Kobe White, Thaddeus Young. I think those are the players that probably deserve the recognition for player of the game, I'm going to give it to Thaddeus Young, to be honest, because I thought he was a major part to the way this team played. I know Zach LaVine got 24 points and he played very big today, but Thaddeus Young, every time he was on the floor, more often than not, the Bulls were winning and the Bulls extended their lead. I thought he was very vital. Defensively, he was good as well. So these are the things that Thaddeus Young plays very well in, and I know he doesn't get the 25, 26-point games that makes him player of the game every single game, but his impact is notable for the Chicago Bulls. And every time he comes in, I know that we're going to be just fine with that bench unit, and he's a big part of that. So I'm giving him player of the game, and hopefully everyone is okay with that, and we continue to push. This is a loss that we need to take on the chin, but hopefully this isn't a loss that switches the momentum. At the end of the day, after these next few games, hell, even considering these few games, we have a tough second half of the schedule. So the Bulls need to try and carry momentum, carry positive energy, because we are a good team. I know this game doesn't show that, considering we didn't even get 100 points. This is a good basketball team. The Chicago Bulls are a good basketball team. And I refuse to have that discussion with anybody that doesn't believe that at this time. But that second half season is going to be tough, and we need to be ready. And we need to beat tough teams. We haven't really beaten a top tier team like the Lakers and the Clippers, and obviously Phoenix is counted as that as well with their terrific season. These are the teams that we need to find ways to beat from here on in. Not consistently, because at the end of the day, good teams, when they're better than the Bulls, you expect them to beat the Bulls. But we need to find ways to win these types of games, because those are the types of games that we have from the second half of the season, pretty much all of the second half of the season. The next game, the Bulls record is 15-17. And yeah, the next game is against the Toronto Raptors. The Bulls and the Raptors have a little bit of a bit of a struggle happening in terms of their team. Apparently, a lot of their coaching staff has to stay home due to contact tracing and virus issues. I don't think they have Pascal Siakam either. So I expect the Bulls to win this game. And I know it's going to be tough. Again, the Raptors are always a tough team. They're a gritty defensive team. But this is the team that I expect the Chicago Bulls to come in and win. And this is the team that's also competing with us for that playoff spot. So this is a game that we have to win. Not only are we expected to win this, we have to win this game. This is the point of our development, where we have to beat teams like the Raptors and those teams fighting for that 8th seed, because that will bring us and elevate us to an 8th seed position, even higher than that, because I think the Bulls can get higher than the 8th seed, but we're going to have to wait and see. We've made massive strides. This game is a tough loss, but hopefully that Raptors game we can continue the winning ways, because then after that, things will be very tough from here on in. So let's see how the Bulls go in that game. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Hopefully that Raptors game will be a much better performance. Hopefully we limit turnovers. Hopefully we don't struggle offensively, especially in the fourth quarter. And hopefully we end up having a good game from the Chicago Bulls and a victory, the most important thing. Have a wonderful day. Take care and peace.